to another episode of Gossip Finance. I'm your hostess, Alacias and Duncan.
And I'm your host, Duncan Sandlin. How are you today, Lacey?
I'm fabulous. I'm so excited to get into the news. There's all sorts of shenanigans happening.
Yep. So today, a lot of right-wing stuff going on. So it's a big news day for us. And essentially what we're calling the 7-layer dip of stupid for the right wing. So it's basically stupid and then idiocy and then moron and then dipshittery and then bullshit. And then I think like mayonnaise is going to be on top, but that's about...
Duncan, the funny thing is that just when you look at something and go, gosh, it just can't get any dumber, then you look at the next thing and it really does get dumber.
Dumber.
Where are we going to start? This is the bottom layer of our dip here.
Oh, we're going to start...
What's the base dip?
The base dip. The exciting news of the week.
Beanage.
You probably already heard, but we're going to do it. Breaking news on Fox. Here you go. Breaking news.
Here, we have just gotten word former President Donald Trump has been indicted by a grand jury in New York. Trump was under investigation by the DA's office for his alleged hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels during the 2016 campaign.
All right. Trump got indicted.
Okay.
It took forever.
This is where I'm going to be a little revealing. I live in the state of New York, and I got to tell you, I'm hugging my state right now. I'm like, yeah, New York, you're great.
Well, let's go to the American public on the street.
They're all looking to see the New York too.
So that's the American public. So yeah, most people are pretty happy about it. The big rumors are you have a lot of the Republicans are kind of fighting back, saying, "Oh, we're going to try and stop this." They're not. They can't really do anything. But the rumor is the rumor is in secret. They're all pretty happy about it because they want to get rid of him. So
well, also, I've heard that the Republicans essentially prior to this said, if you get indicted, we don't think that you should be running for the 2024 election.
Yeah.
That they've said that. And so now I'll be curious if anybody actually revisits that or if they suddenly become silent now that it's happened.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stupid takes, but here was my favorite. So Tucker Carlson and his take on the Trump indictment. And who does he bring on? Glenn Beck, the famous conspiracy theorist, nut job Glenn Beck. And they're going to talk about the Trump indictment and what's going on.
History of cable news is written, assuming anyone bothers to write it. But if it ever is written, Glenn Beck will have his own chapter as possibly the greatest synthesizer of big ideas ever to appear on camera. And a lot of people made fun of Glenn Beck over the years for that, but if you go back and watch the tape, you will find out that maybe more than any other person on television, Glenn Beck got it right.
Oh, Glenn Beck got it right. Glenn Beck got it. Let's I got a little montage of Glenn Beck. Let's see what he got right over the years.
I'm just a worthless loser. Progressives. Social justice. This was social justice.
Obama supplied the terrorists, our enemies, with weapons to attack and kill our own embassy and ambassador. Margaret Sanger supported the KKK. Yes, maybe she was one of the progressives that wore that outfit behind me. But I think there's something else. The left-wing media, the press, the mainstream media finds, a spine.
Who doesn't care about potential radicals in our government?
Tina, I've got some time and a camera. Why don't you stop by?
Oh, that was gross. Because he's talking to this girl about pornography. Mm-hmm. And then he said, I got time and a camera. Why don't you stop by? That's fucking gross. He's such a pig.
One had the hammer and sickle, the
Uh-oh.
other was a swastika. But on each banner read the words here in America of this: social justice.
I travel in an armored car.
If you want to do pot, that's great, but I ain't giving you any health care.
Get your damn hands off my fries, lady. If I want to be a fatty and shovel French fries all day long, that is my choice.
Yes! And while French fries are and have always been legal, cheap, and ubiquitous, point taken!
You're a lying sack of dog mess. There's no decent men anymore.
So that's just a little ice cream sampler of Glenn Beck. No, but he's a nut job. I mean,
Source.
oh my god, he's a total nut job. If you ever watched his show years and years ago, I mean, it was like a guy on his soapbox on the street screaming at people. I mean, it was just weird. So let's see what Glenn Beck's take on the whole Trump indictment thing is. Now that we all know that was for the kids that don't know who Glenn Beck is. He's a raving lunatic.
Again and again and again. So we thought tonight is the perfect opportunity to hear from him. He's the co-founder of Blaze Media. He's just written a book called Great Reset, and he joins us now for an overview of what we're watching. Glenn Beck, thank you so much for coming on tonight. How
Thank you. It's
would you
very kind
interpret
of you to
this?
say.
Well, it's true.
So let me, I've got a couple of things here for you. Let me just go through. I'm going to bring a different perspective to this. We have the banking crisis. They say it's fine. It's just beginning.
All right, so now this is how a conspiracy theory works. We got to go from not the topic to something else and then tie it all together. You ready? You ready, Lace?
Yeah.
Here we go.
We're gonna go on some fast tour. Here we go.
Here we go.
Fast tour. Okay, here we go.
You want to tour the mind of an insane person. All right. Trump's indictment. Now we're talking about the banking crisis. Okay, go.
Yesterday, we had the Saudis and Brazil and China enter a deal to where the petrodollar is over. Brazil and China are going to change.
So they're...
He has no idea what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with the banking shit.
But like, he's not even being able to fake understanding where on earth Glenn Beck is going with this. Like, look at that. Look at the furrowed brow sort of situation going on. He's like,
yeah, we gotta remember Tucker Carlson. Even by their standards in court, they've even said this. Tucker Carlson is not news. It's entertainment. So this is not news. This is just crazy people talking.
Trade in their own currency. That's the beginning of the end of our currency. That means a dollar.
So the end of the U.S. currency. Okay, we covered this. It's not. It's not going to do anything.
That means we become Venezuela. We will have war with China. We will have war with Russia and Iran. We have the restrict bill. We have social media and our NSA and everybody else in bed with each other, silencing people. We, of course, have the raccoon dogs, which we all know is...
What?
all because Trump is indicted.
Yep, wait. And now, wait.
The raccoon dogs, which
the raccoon dogs, because that's relevant.
We all know is bullcrap. And now this week we have a new gun grab that they're trying to do. Biden and his family taking money from the Chinese. What do you think this Donald Trump thing is really all about? The America that we knew, the fundamental transformation that started in 2008 is finished. We are no longer viewed as a superpower. We are now an elderly, we're Joe Biden just walking into the twilight. What this is all about, I believe, is trying to inflame this country. They've wanted violence from the right from the beginning. They can't wait it. They need it. Because if we strike out, look at January 6th, the day they're letting the shaman out of prison because it was all trumped up. Thank you, Tucker Carlson, for revealing this. The day they're letting him out.
Well, you got to remember, too, Tucker Carlson is in deep shit right now legally because him and the other anchors on Fox lied about the January 6th hearing. And there's evidence from their texts and emails that they knew they were lying about it on the air.
Listen, I feel like he just compared the United States to hemorrhoids.
I know.
I'm just saying. I think he just calls hemorrhoids. Other than that, these are just the rantings of a madman. Seriously.
It really, like I said, what do you...
I can't even keep listening because, like, my brain just started sort of spinning out because what the hell is he even talking about?
I mean, he could have started with...
Every time buzz something that would make people paranoid, he could have just strung them all together.
Yeah. I mean, he could have started with any crazy thing. My dog ate a piece of cheese this morning and now he's sick. And it's like... And it's all part of the Biden regime, and they want the right to be violent. It's like, dude, you're the guys are the ones that are spinning them up to be violent. But Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what we got going for that. Jeez. Oh man, I love it. I love it. So, yep, Trump's getting indicted. Basically what's going to happen. Basic simple stuff. I think it's Tuesday morning is what they plan. So he'll go in Tuesday morning to the jail. They'll print him. They'll get his mugshot. They'll, they'll fill out the forms and all that boring stuff. He'll probably be there they probably want to get him through quick. So he'd probably be there for like 4 or 5 hours at most. Then what they'll do is they'll move him directly to arraignment with a judge. It'll probably be a video arraignment. I don't know that they'll want to move him directly. Maybe they will. And then, he'll get arraigned. He'll plead not guilty. He'll get a hearing date and they'll release him. That's probably all that's going to happen. I think his attorneys, their strategy, because I don't know. I read maybe it was around 30 counts. That might be wrong, but that was sort of the rumor. I know there's at least one felony, maybe more. So this is serious shit. And yeah, he's looking at time kind of thing. So, however they do that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that he'll plead not guilty and his attorneys will try and drag this out as long as they can. They'll try and drag it out to the election if they can. Which, they may or may not be able to do. We'll see. Kind of depends on what the judge wants to do. If he has a good reason. But, yeah. But that's all that's really happening right now. And the right wing is just going to go fucking nuts. And they have. I know Trump's already raised $4 million off this. Because those people are idiots. I was wrongfully indicted. It's a conspiracy. Send me money. And send money to this address.
Like, okay. Seriously?
Oh, but speaking of nonsense, let's go into Lauren Boebert had a kind of a bad week. Kind of a rough week for poor Lauren in Congress. Representative Lauren Boebert. So I'll give us a background. So Washington, D.C. is not a state. It doesn't have senators. It doesn't have a lot of voting rights. It's overseen by the federal government.
It's a district, technically, right?
Yeah. So the people of D.C. voted for a new revised criminal statute, penal code, right? And it passed, and then members of Congress in the House voted it down. Okay? So Lauren Boebert was one of the people that voted down this revised code, right? So it didn't get put into law, even though the majority of residents of D.C. wanted it, right? The District of Columbia. So she voted against this bill. Now they're talking about this bill. She clearly doesn't remember that she voted on this bill. And she clearly thinks that this bill is law. And she clearly didn't research the guy that she's talking to because she thinks he's somebody else. So we're going to watch her dive right into that one.
Alan, based on these statistics, I would like to talk to you about some other things that are going on here in Washington, D.C., specifically an initiative that you led. In November of 2022, you led the charge to reform D.C.'s crime laws. Is that correct?
I chaired the committee that proposal came to.
You led this charge, yes, sir. And these changes are now law here in D.C., correct?
Do you mean the revised criminal code?
Yes.
No, those are not the law.
Those are not the law. The
revised criminal code was rejected by...
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
So this is the first part. So led the charge. She's desperate for a soundbite here. So desperate, like she wants to be AOC or Elizabeth Warren so bad. And this, all right. So you led the charge. Well, I was the chairman of the committee, but I didn't. Shit gets put up in front of the committee, right? And we vote on whatever, right? So no, he didn't lead the charge. 2, he pointed out to her. The other guy was trying to point out to her before she got. Look, I can't have 2 people correcting my stupidity at once, right? They're trying to explain to her, no, it's not the law. Remember, you voted it down. Moron. So she clearly doesn't remember that. So let's just keep going. But man, so she's already stepped into it.
She's like, it's not the law. It's not the law. Like, she doesn't even have any idea how to backpedal on this.
Well, no, especially it's not the law because you voted it down. It would be if you had voted for it, but you didn't. You voted on this recently.
I'm going to talk to Mr. Allen.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Allen, did you or did you not decriminalize public urination in
No, we did
Washington, D.C.?
Okay, so this is her big bug. That she thinks they decriminalized urination in D.C. And they didn't. I don't know why this is a big issue for her, but this is her big issue, is people peeing in public.
Have Friday night happy hour and then go piss on stuff. And then she thinks that she needs to be arrested for it. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, why? But they didn't decriminalize it. But she thinks they did. So watch him try to explain this to her.
Did you lead the charge to do so?
No, the revised criminal code left that as a criminal charge.
Did you lead the charge to decriminalize public urination in Washington, D.C.?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever vote in favor of decriminalizing public urination in Washington, D.C.?
The revised criminal code that was
Did
passed
you
by the
ever
council
support?
kept it as a criminal offense.
And you support this criminal?
I voted for it, yeah.
You voted to keep it as a criminal offense.
That's correct. The full council did.
We have records that show that you were in favor of removing that criminal offense and allowing public urination.
Who cares?
Is that something that you intend to pursue in the future?
No. The legislation you're referring to that came from the Criminal Code Reform Commission changed public urination from a criminal to a civil offense. The council then changed that to maintain it as a criminal offense at the request of the mayor.
Thank you.
And so she ends up yielding the rest of her time. Because she's got nothing. That was her whole... She was expecting him to say, yeah, I want to see more people peeing in public. I don't know what she was expecting him to say.
Well, okay, even if her line of questioning had gotten the result she was looking for, I fail to even understand what the hell good that does her.
Not that it's... she's looking for some sort of stupid soundbite about, look, see, this is how depraved the Democrats in D.C. are. They're so depraved, they want people peeing in public shit. That's all it is. It's the same thing the right wing always. It's the same thing the Nazis did. Everything is depravity, right? And then we blame depravity on the trans people or the Jews or whoever. It's the same recipe book they use all the time. But the point is
whoever's being targeted at the moment.
Yeah. But the whole point is it's all freaking stupid. And then she got laughed at later because one of the Democrats was bringing up how stupid this was. And then she asked the guy, is there anything you want to say about public urination? Because he kept getting cut off there. And Lauren Boebert said, well, yeah, I would like to talk more about public urination. And the rep from the Democratic rep just had to turn to him and go, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the witness. And
Never got to say anything, really.
Oh, it was hilarious because everybody in the room started laughing when the woman turned to him and said, I'm not talking to you, moron. So that was the moron layer of the 7-dip. Anyway, here's the really crazy part of it. So public urination, they left it as public indecency, so it's, it's like a misdemeanor, like a slap on the wrist kind of criminal offense. Guess who else has a criminal conviction for public indecency?
Oh, good grief. Who?
Lauren Boebert's husband.
Back in 2004, Lauren Boebert's husband, Jason Boebert, was arrested for indecent exposure because he decided to reveal his penis to waitresses at a restaurant. He was trying to show off a tattoo that he apparently has on his penis. And turned out one of the waitresses was 17. But what's Lauren Boebert saying about that today? Is that...
So that was Anna Kasparian and the Young Turks. So it's one of those things where it's like, you're bringing up... Go ahead.
And I just want to stop and say, he probably wasn't peeing on shit, so it's clearly different. We don't care about people exposing themselves to minors when we're the Republican Party. We only care if they're pissing on shit. So if he pissed on the minor he exposed himself to, we have an issue with it. If he just exposed himself to her, apparently the Republicans think that's
okay. It's still funny to me. It's like, why? If you were going to bring up public urination at all, and you knew your husband had a conviction for public indecency, I wouldn't bring it up? Because you know that shit's going to be, everybody's going to be like, well, wait a minute, didn't your husband throw out his winky dink in front of a fucking 17-year-old?
She's the wrong person to, like, make this her big thing. No. You know?
I swear to God, you know what it is? I bet you her staff hates her so much that they're probably like, yeah, Representative Boebert, here's that information you wanted on urination. Here, take that. Yeah. yeah, you should say everything in here. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. And the guy who sponsored this bill is IP Freely? That's correct. You should say that out loud in the hearing. I mean, she's that stupid. She couldn't fucking Google this shit. She should have known. She voted on this. I mean, oh God. So,
wow, just wow.
Wow.
We've spent an amount of our episode talking about public urination that actually makes me a little uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, we're moving on. So
I sort of feel like we need to move on because this has become like.
Okay, well, you have something in your past that you want to share with us? A little share time. It's making you a little trauma.
We could take sort of a break so I could go outside and take a piss.
Oh, well, do you need a break or?
No.
Okay. Let's jump into this one. So this is actually a financial thing. So Disney had a situation where when they, back in, God, was it 2021? They released Disney Plus, which was their streaming platform, right? And yeah, big expectations for it. Thought it was going to be like HBO Max had come out before and HBO crushed it, made a ton of money. Right, so they thought that was going to go real well. They launched it, didn't get that many subscribers, not as many as they were hoping, right? And so what happened was their stock price shot way up and then collapsed about 30% over that year, right? And they've been sort of climbing back up. Now, here's Tim Pool. If you don't know who Tim Pool is, he says he's a moderate guy. He's not. He's extremely right-wing. But he's going to talk about how Disney is in deep shit because of wokeism. And it's going to be funny because Tim didn't read the article. And the article's from the Daily Mail, so I don't trust it anyway. It's a right-wing paper. But there are facts of the article, and Tim clearly didn't read the article before going on air. And here's a guy who makes millions a year on his fucking podcast, and he can't be bothered to read the article. And it is hilarious. So you just strap in. So Tim's going to do his analysis of what happened at Disney.
Talk about get woke, go broke. Ladies and gentlemen, Disney is going to be laying off 7,000 1,000 of its global staff this week, CEO Bob Iger announces, after share price plunges 31% in a year following series of woke controversies. Get woke, go broke on steroids. Oh, man. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. CEO Bob Iger made the announcement Monday in a letter to his employees. Iger recently reinstated as CEO, is working to save the company $5.5 billion. You know, I've been talking about how I need your help over at timcast.com.
Okay, so here's what's going on. So we're 38 seconds in, right? So Tim's talking about go woke, go broke. It'll ruin you, right? And now he's going to do like 2 minutes of advertising. Okay? And we're going to skip it because I don't want to hear it. But join me, Lacey, for a second. He's got it up here on the screen while he's doing his advertising. Let's go down to the fourth paragraph here. It starts with, the cuts come after the company reported profits of $23.51 billion, which exceeded analyst expectations of $23.44 billion. However, the company's stock price has sunk over 30% in the past year as it faces controversies over previous CEO Bob Chapek's disastrous wading into the culture wars. That part's bullshit. The stock went down because Disney Plus did not fare very well. It didn't do as well as they thought. But it also shot up quite a bit. So he's going to spend the next 2 minutes with this article on the screen. All right, the article proves go woke, go broke. And it says right there, while it's right next to him, while he's doing his ads, Disney exceeded its profit goals, or what the analysts were hoping. So Disney made a lot of money.
Not only did he not read it, but whoever the staff members are had it projected largely
next to him,
right next to his head while he's yapping about this dumb crap.
And he's going to go on for like 2 minutes talking bullshit. But I want to show you this real quick. I should have brought it up before, but I will do it.
Which layer of this dip are we on, man? I mean, like...
Dipshittery. Dipshitter.
Third layer here.
The layer now is dipshittery. Hang on, let's do this. So, we're going to do... Let me pull this over real quick. So this is... let's get rid of that. So this is Disney... What's the time frame here? I want to do... Let's do 5 years. Let's do... This will be easier to show you on a max chart. Come on. Here we go. So what happened here, right? You know, this is the 80s and stuff like that. Let's actually go... I don't want to go that far into the weeds. I don't know. Let's just go back to 5. 5 will be easy. So here's COVID and shit, right? You know, when the stock market crashed, Disney went down, right? Mm-hmm. Then what happened was, this is where Disney Plus came out. And you see the stock shares went dramatically up, right? And peaked out at, what was it? They peaked out at almost 200. It was like 197, right? From kind of where the normal level would be, Disney probably be closer to about 120. Well, what happened was that peaked out. Hulu Plus didn't work out by the end of the year. Everybody bailed on Disney. And then the market had a really bad year in 2022. And now Disney's back up again in the last few months, right? It's done better because it's been making profits. But it's been making profit the whole time, right? They haven't been down or losing money. It's just that their Disney Plus thing didn't pan out the way they wanted it to. So this whole analysis is already bullshit, right? So let's go ahead and let's see, where am I? So let's skip to this next portion with Tim because he is off the rack. So we're going to skip ahead, and now Tim's actually, after 2 minutes of that being up next to him, he's now actually going to read the article for the first time on air.
I'm just like, this is going good. We are doing it. We are building up while they are burning down. Disney, I got a solution for you. Cut the woke garbage. Get back to American traditional values, meritocracy, individuality, personal responsibility, and community all together. It may seem paradoxical individuality with community. No, it's because we respect the individual's rights, but also the importance of working together with shared moral foundations. Start restoring that, and maybe you wouldn't have to lay people off, because they specifically point out woke controversy.
Which isn't the
Here's
issue.
The story.
But...
The cuts come out of the company reported profits of $23.51 billion, which exceeded analysts' expectations. So, I mean, look, that's still good for them.
Oh, yeah? Is it, Tim?
Did
you figure that out? Did you figure that out? So he's got this whole diatribe. Go woke, go broke. This is what's ruining Disney. Oh, but they made money. Oh, shit. Oh, that's good for them, I guess.
I don't know.
Maybe I should have read this bullshit article before I cited it.
Or somebody should have. Somebody should have read it. I mean, if he wants to go with it blind, somebody that's associated with the show should have at least read it. My goodness.
Oh, well, it gets even more horrific than that, because check this out. So he goes into this. This is 2 days ago that he's reading this, right? So
Mercy over previous CEO Bob Chapek's disastrous wading into the culture wars.
That wasn't the issue.
Mouse took a huge publicity blow as Ron DeSantis officially took control of Disney's Reedy Creek Improvement District in his war with the corporate kingdom, in a move that will give him the power to...
Okay, so here's the thing. So Ron DeSantis in Florida is the governor of Florida. And this is part of what Tim's pissed too, is they're pissed about, the Little Mermaid's a black girl. They're pissed about that. They're pissed about Disney donating money to LGBT causes and trying to reach more to the LGBT community. They're ticked about that. And we've talked about this before. Disney's not doing this because they give a shit. They're doing it because they want to reach those audiences and make money off of them. Mm-hmm. Right? So you got to play the game, right? Even if...
They've realized that if their market is only white and straight, they have greatly limited the amount of money they can pull in.
Yeah.
So they need to reach non-white and non-straight markets.
Well, and if they really want to make money off the Disney Plus or other stuff, they have to reach other cultures. They have to reach people in Europe, people in Asia. They have to reach people in South America. That's how HBO made a ton of money in HBO Max, because HBO is just movies for the most part. And then they had Game of Thrones, and that was kind of multicultural, and it applied to a lot of shit. And so it's like Disney, or not Disney, but HBO Max universally applies, is where Disney's, a lot of their stuff is very American. And it doesn't really, these other cultures are not familiar with it. So there's not a big demand in Japan to buy Disney, right? Or in France or wherever, right? As opposed to Game of Thrones was a big thing all over the world, and HBO Max made a killing. So here's the deal. So conservatives were all upset. Ron DeSantis is now the fascist running for president against Trump, very much placating to the anti-trans, anti-gay movement, right? And his party. So what he did was he did this deal to try and make himself look cool, where, what's it called? It's Reedy Creek is the area where Disney World is in Florida. And at Reedy Creek, they had a deal back in '67 with the state of Florida, where Disney World was self-governed by itself. So they had their own board that oversaw the laws and rules of Disney World. They had to comply with Florida and federal laws, but they kind of oversaw what they wanted. And Disney got a deal where Disney World didn't have to pay taxes because they're providing so many jobs and all this stuff, right? And so they haven't paid taxes.
Oh, aren't they just special?
Well, they pay federal tax, but they don't pay state tax, right, in Florida. So they don't pay the state of Florida. So, huge deal, right? This deal's been going on for a long time. DeSantis wanted to overthrow the Disney personal board and put his own board in. So they pushed their own law to do that. And then his own board was going to then oversee Reedy Creek of his whatever right-wing appointed people that he appointed. And the idea was, well, we're going to tax them $700 million and make all these rules and stop them from having, LGBTQ friendly shit at the park and all this stuff. Right? Real, right-wing, jackboot kind of shit. Right? Well, Tim's talking about this 2 days ago. What Tim doesn't realize is 3 or 4 days ago, earlier this week, something interesting happened with Ron DeSantis taking over. And we're going to go to Chuck Todd on Meet the Press to explain what happened here.
Ron DeSantis learned an important lesson this week. Don't mess with the mouse. The Walt Disney Corporation has come out on top, at least for now, in the ongoing power struggle between the company and DeSantis to control the previously independent area that houses Disney's parks in the state of Florida. A new document, first reported by the Orlando Sentinel, reveals that just weeks before the board DeSantis established to take control of the area came into power, Disney moved to limit that new board's control, unbeknownst to the governor and the board itself. And they did it, at the time, under perfectly legal ways to do it. The company also invoked a rare legal clause that makes the move valid in perpetuity or until 21 years after the death of the last living descendants of King Charles. For real. Yes, the king over there. The board said that they will challenge the document. The fight between Disney and DeSantis started over Disney's political activities, namely their support of the LGBTQ community, as DeSantis continues his push to curtail LGBTQ visibility. Our senior national.
So, we don't need to go into any more of that. So, Tim pulls up an article. See, wokeism is bad. Go woke, go broke. Blah, 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 blah. He clearly only read the headline, right? Then, paragraph 4, which is up next to him on the screen while he's doing all his advertisements, says, oh, wait, no, Disney made money, so your whole argument's shit. Right? Then he reads it, realizes it's shit, skips past that completely without acknowledging it at all, then goes on to say, oh, but see, DeSantis has taken over Disney and good for him and all this shit, blah, 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 not realizing, no, DeSantis isn't taking over Disney because they fucking undercut him beforehand. And that was already released before Tim shot this.
This just keeps getting stupider. All right, so we're up to layer what?
Oh, we're probably only layer 2 right now, baby. We're barely getting.
God.
The show is not long enough for us to go through all 7 layers. It's just not happening, kids.
Oh no! I'm gonna have to eat and go outside and publicly urinate and all of that.
Yeah, we have lives, so.
Yeah, right?
Oh.
I mean, it might not have lives other than to hang out here and, talk about the insanity that they're doing, but we really do.
That's the news. That's it. We're not doing any more news. We can't cover any more stupidity today. Well, we're going to cover some more, but
handle any more of the stupidity of the news today. I feel like we might have hit our threshold, at least for today.
Yeah, for news stupidity. We still got so-called financial experts and their stupidity. We're going to do a couple clips on those. So
I want a financial expert, and I want it to have a special tiara, and I want rainbow jewels on my financial expert tiara.
Maybe a scepter and.
And we'll make your scepter have matching rainbow jewls like my
there you
tiara
go.
does. Just so we can kind of match while we're on.
Yeah, I guess so. So
I mean, if they get cool titles and stuff, I feel like I get a tiara with mine.
Well, yep. So here's fake title people saying they're financial experts, proving they know very little about finance. So we're just going to dive in real quick. Dave Ramsey. And this one, what is this called? Oh, Dave Ramsey, the real reason the Fed keeps raising interest rates. So the Federal Reserve has been raising interest rates. Dave is going to explain to you why. And I'm sure Dave has
doesn't the Fed usually tell us why?
Yes, the Fed has told us why.
I feel like they tell us why. I feel like we don't have to do a lot of work to figure out why, because they usually say that.
Well, the Fed is saying they're trying to squeeze the job market so they can lower inflation. That's what their goal is. Now, I don't agree with it. A lot of finance people don't agree with it, but Dave's going to tell you why. We're just going to have to settle through it. All right, just take a Xanax and just get ready.
All right, I'm getting comfortable for this one. Here we go. All right.
I feel like we need to smoke some weed or something before we get into this.
massage therapist that just like sits here behind me and like massages my shoulders while I enjoy this. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Aguardio. All right, here we go.
If you continue raising interest rates as you plan, unemployment will be 4.6% by the end of the year, and that would be about 2 million people. If you could speak directly to the 2 million who you're planning to get fired over the next year, what would you say to them?
Inflation is extremely high, and it's hurting the working people of this country badly, all of them, not just 2 million of them. And we are taking the only measures we have to bring inflation down.
And putting 2 million people out of work is just part of the cost, and they just have to bear it?
Well, will working people be better off if we just walk away from our jobs and inflation remains 5-6%?
There have been 12 times that we've seen a 1-point increase in the unemployment rate in a year. How many times did the economy fail to fall into a recession after doing that? Out of 12 times.
I think the number is 0.
I think the number is 0. That's exactly right.
Ouch, Elizabeth Warren bringing the heat, and this is where I'm shocked, but I actually agree with her. This is a situation where Jerome Powell, folks, has gone off.
So this is Ken.
Rachel Cruz has no idea how she's supposed to react right now because we know that she's my favorite, right?
Right. So she didn't even understand any of that.
She didn't understand what was going on. She had no idea what was going on at all. But everything Elizabeth Warren said sounded really reasonable to her, and you could tell she was searching in her brain for how to hate that.
Right. She's trying to figure it out.
That was wrong, but she couldn't come up with anything.
Right.
Because she barely understands it, and it all sounded kind of reasonable.
Right. Well, there's two arguments going on there, right? It's really simple. Jerome Powell saying, look, 5, 6, 7% inflation is really bad. Warren's saying, yeah, but what you're talking about doing is squeezing the job market and potentially putting 2 million people out of work. And you don't think that's going to cause a bigger problem? Right?
I mean, that's a very reasonable, counter argument to what his initial claim is.
Right.
You know, how is that not going to turn out really bad for us?
Right. So she's saying, I mean, you know, how many times has that been an issue where it didn't fall into a recession? Oh, fucking every time. So what are you talking about? 100%
of the time, it's been a problem.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, it has. I mean, it hasn't been as big of a problem as he's making it, right? So that's just her point. But the point is there's going to be a lot of pain to a lot of, especially lower income people and middle class people, that doesn't need to happen, right? And this is before they raised rates, but this is, you know, they're going with that anyway. But let's see.
Wait a minute. So when he puts the squeeze on the job market, you mean rich people aren't the ones that lose their jobs?
No, rich people are always okay. Yeah.
Hold on. So you mean it's the people who are already poor or the middle class that's always getting screwed that get screwed again?
Yes. Yeah.
Never thought of that.
I know.
Thanks.
So anyway, let's see. Ken and Rachel, let's see if they can figure it out, because the real answer to this question is, and what Warren's arguing for is, well, what we need to do is not do that and encourage more wage growth.
Okay, here's my real question. Does Rachel ever figure out what they're talking about?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Do you want to make a friendly bet? Or you've seen this whole thing. Have you seen this whole thing?
No, I just watched the beginning of it.
Okay, so you haven't seen the whole thing.
No.
See, we're being honest here. Don't you love that? So, a friendly bet. Do you think Rachel ever figures it out? We can agree or disagree.
I think she probably just agrees with everything Ken says. Ken Coleman is the other guy. And Ken's not going to understand it. So I don't think Ken is going to understand it, but we'll see.
I don't think Rachel will ever figure it out, but I think she'll try to use as many words as she can.
Yeah, I think she'll try. So let's see if Ken can figure it out.
On record, many times you can get on the Google if you think I'm making this up. And he has said it is an unfortunate...
What was that?
The Google.
Get on the Google. If you don't believe Ken, get on the Google. It'll prove what he's saying. Let's see what he's saying. I got to hear him.
Pain point that we're going to have to get to see unemployment go up. And his idea is if unemployment goes up because we are raising the cost of borrowing, raising the cost of doing business, that companies will lay people off. Now, we've seen big tech do that, and he's flirting with a recession because he's hoping that companies will lay people off. What happens then is the job demand goes down in his mind, and so now people aren't having to pay as much because he knows that wage pressures, Rachel, are causing inflation to be.
And that's not true. And we've covered that before. So wage pressure, we discussed this before. It was the San Francisco Federal Reserve did their study on it, and they figured, okay, wage growth, because wage growth, there was a professor from Wharton that we watched too. And he did that whole thing about, well, the problem is you can't say it's wage growth that's causing this because wage growth hasn't kept up with inflation. It's below inflation. And in an ideal economy, wage growth should be at least 1% to 2% higher than inflation. That would be a normal sort of situation. But wage growth, even though it's been better, it's still less than inflation. So you can't say that wage growth is causing 6 or 7% inflation when wage growth is 3%. Right? Because the way that works is this: is Lacey now makes $3. Let's say that Lacey makes another $1 an hour at her job, right? So the theory is Lacey's going to go out and spend more money because she has more money, right? And that's going to drive up demand. One person not so much, but if everybody was making more, that'll drive up demand because now they have more money to spend, and that's going to drive up price. Cost on things because demand is up, so you can ask more for it. Well, if what you're saying is, well, yeah, but everything went up $1.50, right? The total spending went up $1.50 an hour worth. Well, that extra $1 an hour isn't what's causing that $1.50 because Lacey can't spend $1.50 she doesn't have. You see my point? So that's what that argument was. The other argument is when they did the actual study, like 20% of it they thought was maybe caused by wage growth. Another 30% was caused by maybe some of this stuff coming out of the pandemic where people had extra money saved. But most of it was caused by companies artificially raising prices. Those were the biggest culprits. Supply chain problems and companies raising prices. Not that people have extra money. So he just lied when he said, no, the problem is wages are causing it. So he just disagreed with Elizabeth Warren after he agreed with her. Because it doesn't fit his narrative. So he can't agree with her. Right? Yeah.
Meanwhile, still has no idea what's going on.
No. So this whole thing is really dumb right from the get-go.
He's stubborn. But here's the challenge with what he said. It's not the only tool he has. The Fed screwed this up. The Fed flushed too much money into the economy and got us to this point because they were worried about the pandemic. This is what happens when...
That is not what happened. God. So, the Fed did not flush money into the economy. Okay, the Fed can do monetary policy and release, like QE. I don't know if you guys remember that from 2008, where they release more bonds, but that affects businesses being able to borrow at cheaper prices. And what that does is that allows them to hire more people. But that didn't drive up wage growth.
I mean, the thing is that he's just going back to this old Ramsey narrative they've had since the beginning of the pandemic, and their whole thing is that we don't give a shit if all these people die. We got to make sure they come into the workplace, and our employees all want to come into our workplace, and they've got this insane narrative surrounding the whole thing. That they just have to go back and support because they don't have anything else.
Well, right. There's no systemic issue. There's no bigger issue or problem or financial analysis. It's just that people are bad with money. And so if you don't have money, it's your own fault, and therefore we don't have to fucking care. That's it. That's their whole philosophy. It's it must be your fault, so I don't have to give a shit. Right? That's the whole thing. But he can't get there, so he's got to go, well, no, the problem is his wage growth. And now he's made a really stupid mistake by saying, well, the Fed flushed all this money in during the pandemic. No, the money that was flushed in during the pandemic, right, was not done by the Fed. The Fed can't flush money in like that to people to jack up wage growth. It can't do that. You know, you can give people things like, COVID checks. But where did those come from? Congress and the Treasury. So he doesn't even understand the difference between monetary and fiscal policy. Because he thinks the Fed gave you your COVID check from that statement. So he's either incredibly mistaken or he's just an idiot. Because he doesn't understand that. And he still has to blame wages for everything when that's not the issue. And we've determined that.
The federal government and the federal bank gets involved in the economy. He then says, ironically, what would you have us do, Senator Warren? Walk away from our jobs? Yes, actually. I would like you, feckless Fed Chair Powell, to walk away and just let the economy figure it out.
Do its thing, yeah.
Here's why. Yes, inflation has made the household budget much higher. However,
yes, no,
no. The argument was don't raise the rates right now, right? That was the argument Warren was making. Because inflation has actually been going down pretty steadily. Not great, but it's going down. So it might be that you raise the rates and you push this situation and, oh my God, all of a sudden now we have 2 million people unemployed and inflation would have gone down on its own anyway. So it didn't do anything but just destroy 2 million lives. Or plus another, whatever, 10 or 20 million middle class people are going to have to live on less. Right? Or get hours cut or whatever. So it's basically you're over-treating the problem. Right? You know, you're using a pair of, you're using like a, I don't know what you're using like a dump truck to pull out a splinter. Essentially is what she's saying. When you could just use a pair of tweezers. Right, but he doesn't understand any of that shit. So let's see. We'll give him another minute here.
And she's trying to glom onto anything he says.
Yeah, she didn't have shit. You called that. She doesn't know.
First 2 million people, or maybe more, because here's the deal. These are projections. We're at 3.4% unemployment right now. Historic lows. If it gets pushed, and there are quotes where he said, Rachel, it may get to 6% unemployment, and that may be what it takes. So you're going to drive millions of people to unemployment, and you think that's going to fix it. But here's the issue. We've got 5 to 6 million jobs available right now. That was my question. I know. I'm paying it off. We've got 5 to 6 million jobs available right now in this economy. So if you drive to unemployment, they're going to go get another job, and we're not going to fix it. And oh, by the way, let's step back, Rachel. Has the interest rate increase done anything to unemployment so far? No, it has not.
No, because you're also in a different situation. Because you're coming out of a pandemic. You had the Great Resignation, where all these people quit their jobs, right? And you have a lot of people demanding more wage. And so why do you have these 5 million something jobs? Well, these 5 million something jobs are all suck jobs nobody wants. Right? So that doesn't solve the problem. You expect that these people are just going to go take these 2 or 3 of these shit jobs? They don't want to work anyway. So he doesn't have a solution here. What it is once again, we're blaming the workers. Is what they always do. Got to blame the workers. See, there are jobs, you just got to go take them. Yeah, the wages suck. There's no benefits. They don't really cover your bills. But it's your fault. You need to just go work. Even if it's to your own detriment and it hurts you.
Or a pandemic literally kills you. It's all fine.
That's what's so funny about this. He is agreeing with Jerome Powell. But at the same time going, yeah, but it's so terrible what'll happen to these people. But you know what? There's all these jobs they could just go take. So there really isn't a problem. Unemployment won't go down. Unemployment will stay where it is because these people can go take these 5.6 million jobs that nobody's taking anyway.
This just keeps getting stupider and stupider.
Yep. Well, we're going to finish with that because there's not much else that they could throw in there. But I mean, clearly no financial understanding. They read an article, they saw a clip. That was it. And they half remembered what they saw. But that was just really stupid. But going into the same thing about inflation. So part of what's happened is because inflation's been high, people their emergency savings have kind of gone down, and the amount of debt people have, especially like credit card debt, has gone up, which is normal in a period of high inflation because especially middle and lower class people, they're running in a position where they can't afford everything, right? Because prices are going up, so they're having to take, extra debt just to get by, right? It's a normal sort of situation, right? You'd think, but nope. The Ramsey crew here with Jade. Jade's going to explain what's really happening because she knows better than all. I want to remind everybody, this girl, Jade Warsaw, who's talking here, she has no financial background at all. She was a singer. Her and her husband were like on a band, and they did cruises, like yachts, and not like yachts, but like ship cruises that you go on for vacation. And they had a band, and they sung on cruises for like 16 years, and then she got recruited to do this for Dave. So that's her background in finance. Nothing. So, but she's going to explain it all to you because she knows.
There is an ugly storm brewing financially. There are some things going on in the world that is setting us up for some serious financial failure here. It says as emergency savings drop and credit card debt rises, an ugly stew is brewing, warns an advocate. It says that as high inflation continues and interest rates go up, many people are seeing their savings dwindle and credit card balances increase. It also says as those debts become more expensive, delinquencies may be poised to increase. Not maybe, I'm telling you, they are on the rise. We can look and see that people are defaulting on their credit cards, defaulting on their car loans at higher rates than really like the Great Recession.
Yeah.
2008, 2009. That's where we're at right now.
So,
So Jade Warsaw here on the right and John Deloney on the left. Neither one any education or background in finance. Talking about this is just like the Great Recession.
Like, is it?
You mean when the housing market collapsed and unemployment got up to what? God, it got over 10% for a while. That was bad. And the government had to throw billions at the banks to try and cover it up. And that was even a really slow recovery. And in fact, if we're going to compare it to the Great Recession, well, here's the big issue too with the previous video is, well, what was it that killed the recovery from the Great Recession? Workers were broke. It was hard for people to get back to work or do anything. It's hard when you're poor to do anything. You don't have any money.
Even things that are deemed necessary, you just can't necessarily do.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's hard to do simple things like, I mean, you have to pay a parking ticket or you have to pay for, rent and you're barely scraping by. It puts a lot of stress on a person. But here's the thing. So once again, we're talking about this article that she's reading right now. Whenever these dipshits pull out an article, my advice is you look up the article because they never pull out an article that's longer than about 8 paragraphs. So you can read these in like 2 minutes. This is not like heavy work on my part. So let's see. Here's the article. Let me pull it over. I think this is it. Yep. She didn't actually cite it, but she did quote the ugly stew is brewing bit. That's how I found this. As emergency savings drop and credit card debt rises, an ugly stew is brewing. Okay, let's go through. So high inflation is leading to reduced savings and higher credit card debt. Already, she's wrong. The article's, the first sentence is, it's the inflation that's causing this. Okay, they state that right out of the gate. She seems to think that this is a budgeting issue, and she'll double down on that pretty heavily here going forward. But that's what it is. The first sentence, which kills me. You didn't even read the first freaking sentence of the article that you're citing from CNBC. High inflation is leading to reduced savings and higher credit card debt. Okay, let's skip down. So this survey from Bankrate, it's not a great survey. It's only like 1,000-something people, but they did it. But they find 39% of individuals surveyed in January of 2023 here said their emergency savings are less than they were last year. Meanwhile, 10% still have no cash set aside. This is the same finding as last year's survey. So the amount of people who are having problems with their emergency savings and are increasing more debt is the same. It's the same number of people. The point of the argument is the amount is grown. That's why the survey, when they go through it, is when we look at it, what we're talking about is, well, okay, it's the same amount of people, right? That didn't change. So it's not like more people are spending or overspending.
But those people are having bigger problems.
Right. But the people that have problems already, their problems have been exacerbated. Is it because they're overspending more? No, it's because inflation has been really high. And so they've had to take out more debt just to sustain.
Super logical. So really, one can assume that the problem is literally the same, except for inflation. Everything else is the same.
Right.
So the amount, probably the amount of their debt increases is probably directly related to the amount of inflation increase.
Right. Yep, that's it.
Yep.
So, yeah, but it's not like more people are taking out more debt. It's just, yeah, so it has to be inflation, right? Now, let's watch her fuck this up. Let's watch them both screw it up because they're both idiots.
This, you look at this data much closer than I do, and
yeah,
it says the survey was done in January.
Okay, there's not a survey. Oh no, it was a survey. Sorry, it's not a study. It's a survey. My bad.
When I hear household debt is rising to unprecedented levels, and it was the greatest holiday season ever, that tells me that inflation's hurting families.
Yes.
But that these expenses, these extra debt, the debt accumulation across the board. Now, there's going to be individual families, people stuck in systems. I get that. But across the board, this tells me that people are propping up their lifestyle. They're not trying to buy eggs and bacon and rice. They are trying to keep their kids in all the travel sports and trying to keep their SUVs full, right? So they're trying to prop up a lifestyle with debt.
So this is, we just read the article.
We call casting it straws, Duncan. Straws.
Well, we just read the first couple paragraphs of the article. They said it's not that people are overspending because they want to buy SUVs and shit. No, it's because inflation. It is eggs and bacon and milk that's killing them. And then he goes, well, but
the eggs are like 30% more expensive than they were before.
Right, but it was a good shopping season for the holidays. So I'm assuming that people are just overspending. You've got nothing.
I'm sorry you want to say there's nothing going on with the eggs and bacon, but like I said, my eggs are about 30% more expensive, and that's something that's happening on a weekly basis. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
And that's all around America. The other thing, too, is it's their common thing. Once again, it can't be that there's a systemic problem that needs to be addressed. No, it's the individual's fault. It's the worker's fault. If you have debt, it can't be because inflation is high and is killing you. No, it's got to be because you bought an SUV. you're overspending. No, that's not what the data says. And you're sitting there, well, you spend all the time looking at the data, but she's agreeing with him. And it's bullshit. It's like, no. She should be saying, no, John, you're wrong. The problem is inflation. It's a serious issue. God damn.
Yeah, John, in my mind, there's two schools of people here. It's like you said, it's the folks who are truly, truly struggling. Like they can't buy groceries, right? And then there's the people who have just decided that this is a bandwagon thing. Like, oh, HELOCs are cool. I'll get one. I need a new kitchen. Oh, wait, we can, like, I'm just going to get the newest car. I need a Tesla. Yeah, sign me up for payments. There's the people who are just going along with whatever culture says, like, this is the life you need to live at any.
And none of that is in the article. And
she just went on her own random ass rant.
Right. And none of that isn't, there's no data that's suggesting that's what's happening. And this is after she just said, oh, yeah, I do pay attention to this data. I know a lot about it. You didn't even read the article. The first sentence of the article says it's inflation. It's not people overspending. There's no data to support that. And they've gone off on a completely different thing, completely different than the article.
Cost, basically. And then when the default starts happening, when the market starts turning, when you realize you're upside down on your car, or you went crazy in 2020 and you're realizing you're upside down on your house, you're looking around trying to point the finger, but you can't because you chose to go along with this.
I wish people could hear our conversations. I've had conversation with Dave, and he said the words, I'm not spending that on that.
Yeah.
It's people of means have conversations and say, well, that's too much. I'm not going to pay that price for this. Or I called a guy who's going to do some work on my house yesterday and said, I can't afford this, but I can afford that.
See, I mean, now it's, oh God, let's just skip ahead because this is just nuts. Are they just going to bitch about how much they pay for shit?
If you're not being a good steward, which is simply being a good manager of the money that's coming into
What was that?
Now they're going back to the Bible.
Oh, is that where the steward thing came from?
Yeah.
There we go. What does Jesus say?
To your hands, yeah, you're going to spend too much of it. And then you're going to go, wait, what do I do? Oh, I know, credit card. You're going to make ends meet with a credit card. And then when that runs out, you're going to go to the next thing, right? And how many people do you know who their car breaks down? They don't have enough cash to get it fixed. So do you know what people do, John? They will go finance a new car because it's just money exchanging. I'd rather go finance a new car than shell out $800 to get my car fixed.
Yeah. This is nuts. And see, the premise is debt is up because of inflation. It's the first line of the article that she's citing. The data she's citing. And they're on this completely different tangent about, no, it's your fault because you spent too much money. When the data they're citing says, no, it's because inflation's up. They can't even understand the...
If their debt is up, they might be living beyond their means also. Mm-hmm. But the whole point in the article is it's the same people. These are not different people. There's not more of them. It's the exact same people. And their problem got bigger, not because they started behaving differently. They're behaving the same. Mm-hmm. They're overspending the same amount of stuff, but all that stuff is more expensive, so they have more debt. Like, this isn't rocket science here.
No, and it's basic. It's like if you have a heart attack and you go to your doctor and your doctor says, hey, you're overweight and your cholesterol is out of control. You need to eat better and get in shape. And you go, no, I had a heart attack because my kids are assholes and I'm under too much stress. No, it's because you're obese and you have too much cholesterol. No, it's my kid's fault.
Like, well, you can stop your bacon habit or get rid of your kids. I don't know what to tell you,
But that's what they're doing. I mean, they're ignoring the fact completely to try and they're just trying to shove and it's what they do all the time. And it's so funny to me. And we've talked about this. When we do these analysis, when you look at your finances or anything really, you have to follow the evidence to get to the conclusion, right? I don't go through my budget and go, man, I don't have enough money at the end of the month. Do you know what it is? It's magical gremlins that are stealing money from me.
It has nothing to do with the fact that I ate out every night 2 weeks straight. No relationship with it all. It's definitely the gremlin thing.
Yeah, it's not the necklace you bought for your mistress. No, that's not what killed you this month.
Damn, Duncan, is that what you're doing for your mistress?
No. Well, yeah.
yeah, but you got it at Claire's. It wasn't real diamond.
No, but I see people.
I'm sorry.
No, but I've seen people do that where it's like, okay, I can't figure out why I'm, I can't meet my budget, and they're making good money, right? And you're like, okay, well, you remodeled your kitchen. You bought a new stove, a new fridge, a new microwave, and that was $30,000. Okay, it's an investment in your house. But then they're like, yeah, but I cut Hulu and Netflix. I'm like, okay, so that's $30 a month. But that's not where your budget problem is. Your budget problem was the $30,000 of a fucking new appliances you bought. Right? That's why you're behind. It's not the $20 or $30 you spend on streaming services. Right? But people, sometimes there's a cognitive dissonance there where it's like, I don't understand. It's like, well, you didn't really need to remodel your kitchen, but you did. That's where the problem is. It's not, it's not your kid's braces, I'm telling you right now. But that's what they're doing, man. They're bitching about, well, you bought the car and all this shit. And it's like, no, the problem is these people are barely getting by as it was, and inflation is now squeezing them tighter. That's it. Simple article. They can't even understand it. But, yep. That's how you become a financial expert on the Dave Ramsey Show. No, absolutely nothing.
Wow.
It still kills me.
I think it's like a pass an audition thing.
It still kills me. She couldn't even read the first sentence of the article. Well, anyway, I think wow, we've been going for a while, so let's wrap up. Where can everybody catch you, Lace?
Well, you can catch me at mysensewithsense.com. You can find out about coaching programs, upcoming workshops. You can look up any blog posts and articles I've written. If you want more information, you can email us, or if you want to call in because you have something you'd like to say, you want to address something we've had to say,
sure.
Or you want to send us something that you want us to review, because that's always fun, you can email us. Duncan, where can they email us?
You can email us at gossipfinancead@outlook.com. The link is down there below. Thanks everybody for joining. Like and subscribe and all that jazz. And we will catch you guys next time. Thanks, everybody.